Today is Sunday, December 18th, 2022, and this is Flashpoint. Hi, welcome to Flashpoint, Sunday, December 18th. So Christmas is exactly 1 week from today. Hanukkah starts tomorrow, so if you're celebrating, we hope it is a beautiful and happy holiday season. I don't want to rush past this most wonderful time of the year, but this morning we are going to look into the future. It was quite a leap for futuristic thinking and dreaming last week when American scientists announced a breakthrough on nuclear fusion. More specifically, it's called fusion ignition. And it is a kind of magic trick. It's a reaction that produces more energy than you put into it. It's the energy that powers our sun. And recently, scientists pulled off fusion ignition in a lab. Our current nuclear plants rely on nuclear fission, which leaves us with nuclear waste. That doesn't happen with fusion, so the implications for our planet are enormous. Or do we need to pump the brakes on all the enthusiasm since the announcement? We're going to talk about that a little later on this morning. Before we do that, we're going to talk about the more immediate future, and that's the one that's about to be sworn in Lansing. Governor Whitmer returns for a second term. That was supposed to be a tall order in the midterms, but not only does she return to the Capitol, she does so with the Democratic majority in both halves of the legislature, and that happens for the first time in 40 years in Michigan. What is on her nice list? What's on her naughty list? We'll ask the governor. Governor Whitmer is my guest today on Flashpoint. Well, if the script had followed history, Governor Whitmer might be here doing her exit interview this morning. That didn't happen. She won quite handily on Election Day, and not only that, took a lot of Democrats with her back to Lansing, as now Democrats control the town for the first time in 40 years. And Governor Gretchen Whitmer is my guest today on Flashpoint, back where you're pretty comfortable at this table. You used to spend a lot of time here as a panelist and an analyst. So congratulations, first off, on the win.
Thank you.
I want to start with, if we could react to the news of this past week. 3 of those who were tried in the kidnapping for you are going to jail for at least 7 years. There's still other cases to be decided, sentencings to be announced, but give me just your thumbnail reaction.
I think that the greatest threat to our democracy are people that are willing to take up arms against their fellow Americans. We settle our differences at the ballot box. I am grateful that we're seeing justice play out here, and I submitted a victim impact statement because I think it's important for people to know, I'm an ordinary person with an extraordinary job serving in extraordinary circumstances, and I'm a mom, I'm a daughter, I'm flesh and blood, and these threats are not really about me. It's about our democracy at the end of the day.
It was interesting that the defense tried to suggest that you don't seem to have any discernible psychological damage from this. You're a former prosecutor. It's an interesting line of defense, isn't it?
I mean, it's really kind of incredible. But so many things over the last 4 years have been incredible. So here we are. We'll just keep going forward.
I want to get to what your future plans are, but before we do that, one other contemporaneous issue. We are watching cases of COVID rising again. We're watching it collide with the flu. There's some epidemiologists that say, look, it is time for us to get back in masks again. I know that things are different. We have vaccines, but everybody's sick and tired of COVID is the real problem, and yet many people are tired of being sick with COVID.
Yep.
What do we do?
Well, I think we implore people to get vaccinated and to mask up. I mean, we know more about this virus than we did in the early days. We all have tools to protect ourselves and to protect those around us, and we want to encourage people to use them. I don't know if I'll ever fly again without wearing a mask, to be honest. I mask up if I'm not feeling, exactly very healthy. I encourage other people to do the same, and I am up to date on all my vaccines, and that's something important. We can prevent a lot of this if people just make use of the tools that are out there.
You're not seeing reason for any kind of executive order at the moment?
No, Devin.
Okay. I want to talk a little bit about your future plans. I mean, I hadn't even thrown away my election night notes yet before people were deluging. I was being deluged with right to work is going to be flipped over. Now we've heard that Ford is considering a new battery plant for Michigan among the places there. Mm-hmm. Is that what's happening?
Listen, we are competing with every other state in the country, whether it is our incumbent businesses that are looking to grow and invest, or it is out-of-state businesses or even international businesses. So we're competing, but I can't I can't give you a whole lot more beyond that.
Well, when you're in these conversations, and you've been a part of them now for quite a while, I'm wondering how often right to work comes up. When right to work was originally being debated, one side was saying this is going to fix a lot of our economic problems, and the other side was saying this is going to be a disaster. I'm not sure it was either.
Right.
But how often does it come up?
Not often, to be honest. And I think that it's really important for us to recognize. In 2008, the auto industry struggled, and we had a real tough time here in Michigan. Now we are seeing, so much flux in the economy, but what is bolstering us is the auto industry, right? And they've got great partnership with the UAW. Organized labor has been really important to our economy, to giving workers the ability to negotiate for health care and time off with their families. It's been a great strength for this industry that has bolstered the Michigan economy.
Yep.
And so I don't think people should use those fear tactics. And I do believe that you will see a lot of changes on the horizon, but we're going to be really smart and strategic and ensure
Changes
Michigan
on the horizon
remains
meaning,
competitive.
do you want right to work to go away?
I don't think anyone's going to be surprised what my position is on a variety of issues, but it's the first thing out of the blocks. I am going to stay focused on putting money in people's pockets. So a working family tax credit is something that we're working with both Speaker-elect Tate and Senate Majority-elect Brinks on, as well as, I think giving our pensioners and retirees
Getting rid of the
some money
pension
back.
tax, yes. Yeah.
So,
You have the unusual situation of coming in with about a $6 billion surplus. That doesn't happen very often, but that's also the cautionary tale. You don't have it forever.
right. It's one-time money. So I've been part of my battle with the former legislature was they wanted to spend everything like it was ongoing forever. That would have created a structural deficit. I'm not going to sign anything that does that. We've got to be strategic. We've laid the groundwork. We've made historic investments, but using one-time dollars for ongoing expenses as a setup. And we've made too much ground putting Michigan's fiscal house in order, and we're going to continue doing good work without compromising our long-term goals.
I don't want to get too far away from economic development and trying to attract business. Before we leave that topic, it's hard to miss that we have lost out to states where organized labor is not profoundly present. Tennessee, Kentucky. What have you learned from those experiences?
Well, I think.
And how does that inform what you do now?
I think when you look at this is a global competition, right? This isn't about one state or the other, although it does end up coming down to a couple of states. And now Michigan is we're a finalist in a lot of cool opportunities, and we've won a lot more than we've lost in recent years. So I'm excited about that. But we can never make an assumption that we're always going to lead in mobility. We've got to continue to sharpen our tools and be aggressive and work to solve problems, and that's exactly what we're doing.
One of the other things that a lot of people, especially reporters like me, are looking at in this new legislature, 4 years ago, you promised that we had to become a much more transparent and open and ethical government. We are notoriously not. You promised that you would open up your governor's office to FOIA requests, and you haven't done that.
Well, actually, we've made a lot of improvements when it comes to FOIA and transparency, and I have given all of my financial information every year. I wasn't required to do it, but I did it. We now have a ballot initiative that we just passed that will create greater transparency.
Right.
I'm going to work with the legislature to make sure that both branches are subject to the ability for people to scrutinize their government. They have a right to do that. Here's the thing. Had the legislature been subject to FOIA, we might know all those efforts to get the legislature to undermine the 2020 election.
Yes.
We might know if Ginny Thomas reached out to Mike Shirkey, but we can't know now because they don't let us find that information. That's why we've got to change the law.
Agreed. But
all right, let's do it.
Well, you could have.
But we got to make it
You could
apply.
have unilaterally done so.
If I
in
did
your
it
office.
to the executive office, the legislature never would have had any motivation to
do it
apply
for
it to themselves as well.
The Lee Chatfield investigation
Another
opens
great
up.
example.
It is a massive. What this is exposed in Michigan government with the power of lobbyists and on and on. But Dana Nessel is not wanting everything revealed in that investigation because she thinks it might be unfair to some people some very high-profile names, as she put it, who are named in this investigation. Well, that's weird. The law has always treated people, high-profile individuals are treated differently in the law. It's harder to prove slander, against someone who is a celebrity or a high-profile. Why in the world wouldn't we want that exposed?
I think the way I understood what Attorney General Nessel said was that she's got an open investigation happening. She's got to preserve the quality of that investigation, make sure that they get all access to information, because once some of this becomes public, it compromises her ability to do her job. So I support that, but ultimately I also support the public and all of us being able to see more about what the facts are.
Speaking of investigations, there are a lot of citizens in Flint very dismayed at what's happened with the prosecution. Last week it fell apart, the case fell apart against Governor Snyder, which was no surprise given that we saw the rulings that we saw from the court. How do we ensure, or do you believe, are you ready to move on, or do prosecutions still need to happen surrounding what happened in Flint that many years ago now, 8 years since this first came to light?
You know, I'm not the Attorney General. I'm not steeped
but you're
in
a former
the way
prosecutor.
that her office is. That's right. I don't know that criminal charges and ultimately a conviction, if that's even possible, is going to give the people of Flint more justice and comfort and improve the quality of their lives, right? What I'm focused on is doing just that. So whether it is settling lawsuits against the state, against the previous administration, putting more resources into nutrition and school programming so that we can remediate lead poisoning, supporting paths that get people into good paying jobs, and putting more economic development in Flint. That's how we help people move forward and move up in the world. I will leave the prosecution question to the Attorney General. That's her job, not mine, but you know, all of these things have ramifications on the work that we're doing, and so it impacts us, but I'm not a decision maker on that front.
Understood. I want to talk to you a little bit about this new legislature and what you expect the priorities to be moving forward. But before we get to that, your reaction to Mike Shirkey's farewell address, which a lot of you've known Mike Shirkey for a long time, worked side by side with him on a number of things, including no-fault reform. It was an interesting speech. What were your thoughts?
Same. I don't know that I'll expand, Devin. I'll just say this. You know, we were able to, I kept going to the table and working with them to get things done. And by and large, we got a lot of good stuff done. But it was difficult. And he shared the stage with some of these same people that got convicted for plotting to kidnap and kill me. And despite that, I turned the cheek and kept getting to the table with him. Same with Lee Chatfield. So you be the judge of, you know, how difficult those first 2 years were, considering the two leaders that I had to work with. But you know what? It's not about me. My job is to deliver for the people of Michigan. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'll sit at the table with whomever I have to get things done.
Obviously, this is I've joked on the program. For Democrats, the good news is you've got control of all the levers. The bad news is you've got control of all the levers. There will be no forgiveness for not getting things done now. Job one is what?
I think giving people relief, giving people some tax relief is very important. I'm writing the budget right now, continuing to invest so that we can land these big economic development projects, which mean good paying jobs for future generations. The investment we're making in our kids and education, we got to get Michigan to a top 10 state for literacy. We do have a Democratic majority in both the House and Senate, but it is a majority by two. By two.
Yep.
So. I think we've got to live our values and deliver for the people, and never forget that's all, at the end of the day, why we're here.
We're running out of time. I just mentioned no fault. I think when most Michiganders were voting on no fault reform, they were not realizing they were taking care away from a lot of people who had already been receiving care. What do we do about them?
Well, that was never the intent of the change in law. It was to give consumers options and so that they could make decisions and save money. So I do think that there's room for improvement. I've been trying to get the legislature to the table. Now I've got a different legislature. I'm sure we will pursue that conversation after they all get sworn in. Lastly,
I've only got about 30 seconds left. You've obviously made some moves this past week on trying to make sure that abortion is more than just enshrined. You would think that creating a constitutional amendment is, it's all done. I don't think you think it's all done.
No, I mean, if the Dobbs decision taught us anything, it's that we cannot rest on our laurels. We cannot make any assumptions, and we cannot keep that 1931 law in the books.
Yeah. Governor, I got to half of what was on my card here, so I hope you'll come back real soon. It's always good to have you on the program. And
Thanks,
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Thank you very much. We'll come back with more. We'll talk about nuclear fusion on Flashpoint right after this.
Last week, I stepped in a bear trap. I should really get rid of it, but I'll make do.
Just like I make do without home internet.
Besides, my phone gets the job done. Sometimes. It's not that bad.
It is that bad. Don't settle. Get Xfinity Unlimited Mobile with 5G and home internet together for just $50 a month. Switch today.
Inflation has made food too expensive for some families to afford. After paying for housing, paying for health care, paying for transportation, there may be very little money left for food. With food insecurities on the rise, Forgotten Harvest is there to answer the call. We're working to feed over 700,000 people this year. We want your support to feed our neighbors in need. Act now and show your support at ForgottenHarvest.org, and together we can end hunger.
WDIV prepares this TV children's programming report that is filed quarterly with the Federal Communications Commission. It can be viewed at stations.fcc.gov. Simply enter WDIV into the search bar. A copy may also be obtained from the FCC at this address. All Shop Arbor, Events Arbor, All Hail Arbor. AllAboutAnnArbor.com is all Ann Arbor, all the time. Brought to you by these fine sponsors.
Think as if it were you on the other side.
If I see something good around the country, we're adopting it.
It's hard.
We are really, really close to a tipping point.
That is astronomically insane.
Solutionaries, the creative thinkers and doers working to make the world a better place. Subscribe at youtube.com/solutionaries.
Welcome back. I wanted to make sure we devoted some time to a development announced last week that could hold deep and profound implications for our future. On the other hand, there is a counter narrative among some that this is a lot of sizzle and not really much stake. It is nuclear fusion. I can remember being flummoxed in high school physics trying to remember the difference between fission and fusion. The important distinction is that fission is the imperfect way we create nuclear power now. Fusion is the more perfect solution that has always seemed just beyond our reach. Until now. Let's talk about it with Andrew Chrisley, professor of computational math, science, and engineering at Michigan State University. Andrew, I so appreciate your time today. Let me guess where you fall. I'm assuming you think there's some meaty steak here and not just a lot of sizzle.
Yeah, definitely. It's much more steak than sizzle.
Well, tell me a little bit about why this was such a breakthrough.
This is the first time we've demonstrated that we can get a sustained reaction where we get more energy out than what we put into the reaction, which was the dream of fusion. So this is proof positive that we can do this, and it is the first step on a roadmap to how we'll actually be able to create fusion energy.
And the idea of fusion energy has been described as really a near limitless supply of energy, and one that that does not spout and pour carbon into the atmosphere. Are both of those things, is that accurate, or is that a little too far-fetched?
I think that's fairly accurate. It definitely does not pour carbon into the atmosphere, and it's a very clean process in terms of the byproducts, and it is a process that it has some positive. The negative implication, you had mentioned nuclear fission at the beginning, and I would say the analog here is that yes, it does create radiation like nuclear fission, except for the type of radiation it creates is very, very limited. It only lasts, the material that gets irradiated by the fusion process only is hot for a year or 2 years. And so it's a much safer process, something we can control.
And it is the stuff that powers every star in our universe, which I guess makes it the most powerful source of energy that we can comprehend yet, correct?
That's absolutely right.
Yeah. So tell me now then, if we had to start laying out the steps, what does it take to bring this not just to scale, but into our lives?
So it's about 2 decades worth of real engineering work to go from this first step of demonstrating it's possible to actually creating something that would be a power plant. The National Ignition Facility, which was the one that had this tremendous experiment, is really designed as an experimental facility, not designed as an energy production facility. So you need to overcome several barriers. One is regular cheap pellet production, but I think we can do that through engineering. The other is in terms of the source of the laser. If you're going to do it the way that NIF did it, there needs to be a re-engineering of the laser. The current laser that they use to do this process is extremely inefficient and 20 years out of date. And newer laser technologies have about a 20% efficiency from the power you put into them to the power you get out of them. And so if we were to redesign the laser, which is not a short process, and design more reliable pellets, those are the first two steps in being able to do this.
You just point out one of the important distinctions here and sort of marking points about this entire process, and that's the power and energy that we put into something versus what we get out. We're all used to zero-sum games on that. We know what it is to fill up a gas tank and then drive the miles off of it. What makes this special is it requires less energy. You end up with more energy out than you're putting in at the beginning. Is that a fair way of putting it?
That's absolutely right. What the process is that if you get a sustained burn, you are going to burn up that fuel you put in that pellet by causing them to fuse the atoms to fuse together. And the more of that fuel you burn, the more energy you get out. And the pellet has to stay hot long enough to complete the burn process. And so that's really why this was such an important experiment. It showed that we were able to keep the pellet hot long enough to be able to actually get this sustained burn.
Yeah. We're also going to require a change in the human mind in the way we think about nuclear power. I'm going to assume that, like many scientists, you've been frustrated over the years with the fear that we've developed, because we have seen some very high-profile failures, most notably Chernobyl, and to a lesser degree 3 Mile Island. But we have developed, there is a fear around radiation and around nuclear power that may be a little bit outsized. Is that fair?
In the context of this, for sure, it's not that so when the pellet burns, it does create radiation, like I said earlier.
Yep.
But that radiation, when it radiates material, its half-life of the material that's irradiated is very, very short. So in a very reasonable time, we can handle that material as if nothing happened to it. And so it is definitely the case that in this context, our fear of radiation should be fairly well mitigated by the fact that it's a really safe process.
Yeah. The last thing I wanted to ask you, I am, I guess, what I would call a scientific optimist. When I read something like this, I mostly see the unicorns and rainbows ahead. But then I saw a headline that said, "Fusion breakthrough gives U.S. new way to evaluate its nuclear weapons." And all of a sudden, I heard the sad trombone and the sound of glass breaking. What does this hold? What does this technology hold that might not be as optimistic and used as much for good? Is there a downside to this kind of power and technology?
I don't really think there's a downside to this kind of power and technology. It's true that NIF was designed such that we could do nuclear stockpile stewardship. That was the initial design of the experiment. But it's only because it is probing really interesting states of matter is why it was designed to do those types of experiments. And it's not going to lead to this doesn't lead to like plutonium production or anything like that. Yeah. The fuel burning process here doesn't have those kinds of side effects. And so I think of this as a very positive step forwards, both for the state and protection of our government and our country through understanding nuclear stockpile stewardship, and also a very positive step forwards in terms of fusion energy and moving the ball forwards on that front, which I'm really excited about.
I am too, and it's been a thrilling year for science. Everything from this to what we've seen with the Webb telescope, it really has been something. Andrew Chrislieb, thanks so much for your thoughts and your time today. I hope we'll have more exciting things to talk about in the very near future.
I hope so too. Thank you for having me.
You bet. We'll take a quick break and wrap things up for Flashpoint right after this.
Save more at the year-end mattress sale, only at Gardner White. And get free delivery before Christmas. Save up to $1,700 on top name brand mattresses. Plus, get 0% financing for 60 months. Plus, free TVs, free power bases, and free MasterCards. Get a king or queen price cut to $9.99 on Serta Perfect Sleeper, Beauty Rest, or Sealy at the year-end mattress sale, only at Gardner White, Detroit's #1 mattress store.
Sunday night, in football's toughest division, these two old rivals meet again with a score to settle and everything to play for. Yes, he can! Giants, Commanders, in a must-win showdown that's made for Sunday night on NBC and streaming on Peacock.
Sunday Night Football on Local 4 is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more.
For as far back as I can remember, I had a smile that I did not want to show. I'm very active in my community. I want to speak up and speak out more. I would put my hand over my mouth. I was self-conscious. I speak out a lot now. Because things have changed, I too have changed. Everyone has a story. My story is that of resilience.
This season's hottest toys are supposed to bring your kids holiday joy. But watch out. There are some surprising hidden hazards parents need to be aware of to keep your family safe. Plus, you might think your car is ready for Michigan's brutal winter weather, but there's some vital steps you could be skipping. We'll make sure you're prepared. And a member of the Local 4 morning team has a big surprise. All that and more Monday morning on Local 4 News and streaming on Local 4 Plus.
No Flashpoint next week, so enjoy your Christmas Day. We will see you 2 weeks hence on New Year's Day. A very Merry Christmas to you and yours. Meet the Press is next.